Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today, I'll be showing you how I painted the Lord Imperatant for the Stormcast internals. Got this out of the Dominion box and want to get this guy tabletop ready. So some of the challenging pieces you'll find here is this strip lining of the coat. Could not get that right over and over, and the feathers. So I'm going to show you an easy way to fudge through the feathers, make it look abstract, but it looks good from 4 feet away. Alright, now to paint this guy, I primed him with Zhandri dust. For the armor, which is the most important part, if we're going to be honest, I used Army Painter Gold, P3 Solid Gold, and Army Painter, I used Vallejo Silver on the armor as a highlight. Then I used Army Painting Shining Silver, Necromancer Cloak, Ash Gray, Deep Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Electric Blue, Matte Black, Alien Purple, and Lava Orange. And out of the Citadel line, I used Ionrach Skin, White Scar, Mournfang Brown, Mephiston Red. Then I used 3 different washes to be fancy. Used Drakenhof Nightshade, Nuln Oil, and Seraphim Sepia. So, as you see, this is what you get at the end of that. We're going to go ahead and get started on this guy. Now, the first thing I did is I primed him in Zhandri dust, and the reason for that is I wanted to use Army Painter's Greedy Gold. And Zhandri dust is very good, because with one thick coat of Greedy Gold, I get the look I'm after. So I take my sloppy brush and I just quickly work it in. Don't have to be neat at this stage. Oops. For our next layer of gold, we're going to use P3's Solid Gold. It's a similar color as Games Workshop's Arc Armor, but the bottle, I don't know, lasts longer before it dries up. I've had this one for years. So I'm going to take a dry brush here, just once, twice, wipe it off, and just roughly hit all the areas that are gold. And only the areas that this giant brush can hit. And that'll create a color difference. So we'll get the top of the shoe there, but we really can't get back there, so we'll leave that alone. And this will create an interesting lighting effect. But I probably want more on top of the head and his iron halo. Now that we have our 2 layers of gold on here, what we're going to do is take our sloppy brush, a wash of Seraphim Sepia, and we're just going to put a nice coat over all the gold areas. Now while we wait for that wash to dry, I'm going to spread some sterling mud on the base so I don't waste the drying time there. So I'm going to take my little applicator tool and just spread it around the non-rocky bits. Alright, now I want to change the color of the base from that dark brown. So I'm going to use some Necromancer's Cloak. I've already poured some out into my little dish here. And so there are parts that I textured and there are parts that are sculpted in. And I want all of that to be Necromancer Cloak. Help it all blend together. So just one thick coat. I'll pick out the detail on the brickwork later. Now I'm ready to paint the silver portions. So I'm going to use Army Painter Shining Silver. And I'm going to take my brush, and it's going to be the little crown of his staff here. Get this hammerhead. And then we have his little belt buckle tucked back here. We'll do this last little spike up here. Now we'll paint the blue sections. And for that, we're going to use Army Painter's Deep Blue, which I have already put into my palette. And this is pretty much going to be his tabard here, because the cloak is going to be white. Well, at least on the interior. And we'll want to do this little cut in there. I'll probably paint this white and then do the blue on top, just so I can get into those corners there. Now I'm going to take some Army Painter Alien Purple, and I'm going to paint the little creature that he wears as a cloak. So I've already got some in my palette here. I'm going to paint the whole thing. So it's going to be a combination of purple and white. I'll have to get some extra covers on where the gold came through. Well, that's fine. Don't forget it runs over here. And just do the whole head. Now I'm going to use some ash gray. We're going to do these blocks down there. They look like rubble. If I can remember where I put my brush. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to use this, and we're just going to slop it on. So now I do is take my time and cut in around the feet. So I don't hit the gold, because I don't want to go back and touch that up. Watch out for some of these spots. Yeah, we'll just get all of these little bricks covered with the ash gray. Now I'm going to take some Mournfang brown, and I'm going to do a little belt. Make sure not to touch the silver. See, some of the little spots are tricky to reach back here. Take your time and patience. Just work on moving the model where you can get to the brown spots. there. I'm also going to do plants right there. And I'm going to do the little grips on the weapons and the scepter. Now I also noticed that he has little straps on his forearm. So I'm going to get those. You're going to see them on both sides. Now normally in these models they have straps on their calves, but because of his robe you can't see them or reach them. Now I'm going to take some Ionrach skin. I'm going to start laying down the base for what will be the white sections of the model. Alright, get the right brush here. Oop. Alright, so I'm going to get a little skull right here. So let's get that while we're at it. Just a nice little detail piece. And then we're going to want to do the inside there. Gotta look all over for these. You can see between his legs. There, I want to do nice, smooth cuts here with the brush, so I don't touch the blue of the outer coat, but I get a nice, smooth line. That way you can see a good transition between the white and the blue. And I'll also want to do a prayer scroll here. I'll just go and finish that up because we also have around this side here. I'm going to use some Mephiston Red now. I'm going to put it along little ropes here. We also have a series of little jewels. Okay. Now I'm going to take some matte black, and I'm going to do scabbard around the metallic gold bits. I'm going to be careful at this point. Now we're at this point, this is where we're getting close to our transition to just working on details. Let's look at that. Alright, now for this, I was looking at some of the art. I'm going to get this thing's beak in here. Make this black. It's fun here. Okay. So you got the beak, the scabbard, and something I like to do is you can tell there's pieces of the padding under the suit of armor. We're going to paint that black. The most noticeable one is over here on his right arm. There we go. Now it's wash time. We're going to take some Seraphim Sepia here. I'm going to apply a couple different washes here. So let's get that on a little prayer scroll here. Remember, move the model around the brush, not the brush around the model. Okay, so it looks like it's got some good detail on it. Now we're going to take some Nuln Oil. Shake it so I can get some in the cap here. It'll stay open. Alright. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to get just the red. Get the little haft of the weapons. Paying attention where I'm looking here. Alright, it's got the haft of the weapon. Okay. Alright, we got the Nuln Oil on there, but we're not done with the Nuln Oil. I'm taking my big sloppy brush here, and we're going to do the base. So all the stonework in here. The plant. Alright, and now the last shade we're going to use, I use this mini because he's a fancy guy. It's one of the bosses here. We're going to use some Drakenhof Nightshade. We're going to want little touches of this. Alright. Get down the mailed armor. I'm going to get all the silver bits. Many of the white bits. Oh, just stay in frame. Okay. Okay, so I think that's everything. So we're going to let this dry for a while, and we'll get back to them. Now I'm going to take some white scar here, so just a really bright white. And what I want to do is just kind of punch up the cloak a little bit. Take some nice thin coats. And we'll also get up the sections I did oopsies down there. Now we're going to work on the rest of the exterior of the tabard and cloak with some Ultramarine blue. I've already poured some into my palette. I'm just going to do thick highlight. Like that, just change the tone. Some of the ray surfaces here. You got some of the folds. Now some of the stuff deep down here we're not going to paint too many layers on. We're just going to leave that since it's kind of in shadow. Alright, now I want to switch to my teeny tiny tip brush because I'm also going to take this ultramarine blue. I'm just going to take the edge of the brush, the tip here, just very carefully run it along the edge of this trim. Which I'm not doing successfully. Might have to go back and cut some of this in with the white again. Alright, now with that all straightened out, here's a brush I've cut down, kind of turned into a dry brush, and I've poured some Necromancer Cloak. And what I'm going to do is attack these feathers. So I want to catch the edge of the feathers, the spine of the feathers. I'm going to do that all around. We're going to do it on the beak. So now doing that, that allowed it to dust up. So I just took that purple and made it look like the purple was deep in the feathers. So what I'm going to do now is take my tiny brush and some Ionrach skin, and we're just going to follow spines. What this will allow us to do is just with some light coats, we can control the appearance of the feathers. We want kind of a V shape towards the spine. So we got that direction. Now let's go this direction. That's how that looks from a distance. going to flip this over. I've got these feathers. So these ones I'm going to leave alone. These ones I'm going to do up like I did this side. Of course, what it shows on some of the art is that he's got like a little raccoon band. I'm just going to sketch out that raccoon band. Now I've got the start on the feathers. What I'm going to do is take my brush again, and then I'm going to go back to the white scar. And we'll just do a smaller number of brush strokes. So we'll do about a third. Also do that up on his raccoon here. Just interspersing some bright white amongst the Ionrach. I think that's turning out. It always looks terrible before it looks good. So just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And just do that. Now I'm going to take some lava orange here. Any orange would do, really. What I'm trying to do, just take the tip of my small brush here, wipe most of the paint off, and I'm just going to go to a nice little pace here at the top of the rope coils and the tassels. Get a little spot on the gems. Alright, add a little bit of depth to it. While we're at it, while I wait for that to dry, let's get some solid gold again. And we're going to very carefully the decoration on the cloak. See, I'm being very careful, using just the tip of the brush to kind of sketch out where I want the paint to go. Since this is shining gold on white, I'm trying to get the appearance of less gold plate like I did the armor, and more like gold thread. Now it's starting to come together pretty well. So I'm going to take some electric blue, which I've already put into my palette. And Just going to do tiny little highlights here. Just places where the fabric folds. Like doing these little triangles here, or not triangles, three-pointed stars. See, once you've got enough paint off of it, especially with these thin brushes, just do a quick motion. You'll just leave just a hint of paint behind. Alright, I think that's good enough on the blue. Let's go ahead and we're going to get some of the Vallejo Silver. Now this stuff is like a pure silver bar. That's what I love about it. What I'm going to use it to do is I'm going to use this brush here. I'm going to start at the hammer. Punch up some of the edges here. Now, what I also want to get is a little mail down there. I also use silver to punch up gold. Kind of like a highlight there. Just imagine the lights coming down the model. You see that kind of bakes that reflection in. So we'll just tune up this gold until we get to the glossy effect I'm looking for. Alright, now we've got a couple touch-ups left. So I have a brush that I've beat to hell and snipped the bristles off. We're going to use this one again. You'll remember it from when we did that. I'm going to take some ash gray and I am going to get some paint here and just run it across the texture there. And these stones.
the scabbard here. This will give me a little more distinction. Alright, now I'm going to go keep on touching up this texture material till I get it to the impact I want. Now I'm going to take some Mephiston Red again, and what we're going to do is just get the hatching on all the weapon here, all the hilts and everything. So just run the brush up and down like that. Just trying to catch a piece of it. Hit all the raised areas. I want to make it look more like a red leather instead of a red fabric. So that's why I painted it brown first. And there we go. So now we're going to call it a day on the Lord Imperatant. I'm going to paint the rim of the base black, but you might have something that goes with your army. Whatever works, works. So it's actually a very nice model. The trickiest part, these feathers. So this is a way I like to do feathers that's a lot faster than the multiple washes and inkings that like the heavy metal team does. But a beautiful model, and I hope you enjoyed watching me paint it. Thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.